Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs Show. Happy, Tuesday morning. Hope you're all okay. Hope you're all right. Hope the day is treating you as well as it possibly could treat you. If you're in England, it looks like it's going to be another warm one, so look after yourselves, plenty of water. But in this video, though, we'll talk a little bit around Giovani Lo Celso and the interest in him. We briefly touched on it last night, but there was a bit of a development after I'd spoken about him, which is always fun. Talking about the Athletic report, again, stating Spurs are in for a new midfielder. Sort of putting that into perspective, talking about the midfielders that maybe we've been linked to, and how maybe one might be back on the radar potentially. So we'll see. Just want to say that if you're watching this, you new, subscribe. You're very much welcome to join us for the journey. And yeah, it's gonna be a good one today. It's gonna be a bit more of an interactive one between myself and you, the viewer / listener. And obviously, if you're commenting, by the way, after I've done the live, don't worry. I still want to have that chat with you as well. Morning, Dan and Spurs. How are we both? You're right. Chris Gallen mentioned we're interested in signing Locatelli, the price tag. I talked about Locatelli last night, mate. I talked about Locatelli last night. I don't really see much in it, if I'm honest, mate. It wasn't a very great source. It was a pro-Juventus source, which normally means you're drumming up interest, you know. Christian, mate, how are we? Peter, evening, mate, how are we? Evening, adventurous, how are you? So yeah, it's good stuff to talk about. Let's talk about let's talk about Gio, because that's what you're in here for, aren't you? You're here to see what's going on with Gio. And yeah, a bit of an interesting one. So Gaston Adul, someone that we've used before on this channel, you know, you'd say he's probably in the know with Argentine situations, saying that Lo Celso has received offers from Betis and Villa. Now, we talked about this literally last night, and you know, we were saying, oh well, Spurs, you know, have got interest from other clubs in Giovani Lo Celso, being Betis and Villa, right? So we talked about it literally last night. So it's not shocking that I'm talking about it again, right? But the fact that there is, you know, potential bids in for him is good news. Now, we talked about the squad requirements for next season in the Premier League and in Europe, and moving off Lo Celso, it makes sense in that regard, just that alone. Now, supposedly so that Ange doesn't seem to want to try and depend on him next season. I think that's not because of a quality of player or a play style or anything like that, or, you know, system fit. That's just more of a dependability. And sadly, as much as I sit here and I do really like Gio, I think he's a really, really good footballer, the guy just cannot stay fit. And then there's, you know, I'm not digging him out for it, but you know, that's just the crux of the situation. Now, moving on in terms of where to, obviously, if it's Villa, whack on a few extra quid. Let's not help them out. Let's ruin them a little bit. But if it's the Betis, then obviously, you know, you can move them on. You can move them on, and you know, you're gonna maybe not gonna get the best deal possible, but you know, you're not gonna have to really deal with them again. Now, obviously, the chat of Giovani Lo Celso to Aston Villa coincides with Jacob Ramsey. We all know that. I'm not bringing up anything brand new. That's something that we've talked about on this channel quite a few times. Is Jacob Ramsey. The Lo Celso situation does coincide with it, right? So the reason I say that is the next report, because it does make a lot of sense. The Athletic saying that Spurs want to sign an all-action number 8 before the summer transfer window shuts. Now, I had a few thoughts about this, because obviously, if you're moving on Lo Celso's a number 10 in theory, right? He can probably play. He can play a bit of 8, but in theory, he's more of a 10. He's more of a creator than anything. I have a vibe that even though I've talked about Kulusevski featuring in a sort of more of a central role, which, you know, that'd be the 10 sort of situation, I also foresee at some point in the season Lucas Bergvall becoming maybe more a 10 than an 8. And in that regard, then you would need to go and get an 8, because we have this idea that, you know, you've got Pape, you've got Bissouma, you've got Bentancur, and you've got Archie Gray and Bergvall. But actually, you probably could do with a midfielder who can be an 8. And, you know, the idea is they want someone who can press all corners of the pitch, You know, he could do a bit of creative work, but it can also feature in the goals and the assists. So I do get it. And I think that's where my head is at in terms of why they're looking at the midfield, is because I think as the season goes on, I think Bergvall may transition a bit more into the 10. And I think Archie Gray maybe use more so as sort of, I think maybe an 8 to start. I think it's a safe position. Of all the 3 positions, it's a safe position, you know. You're not demanded to score and assist every single game. You're demanded for energy. And then I think as time goes by, he'll be used more as a 6, as well as obviously featuring a right back from time to time, as we know. But I think that's why they're looking at 8. I don't know what you guys think, but that's kind of my idea. Morning to my mate. You're right. How many more signings do we need to call it a good window? You'd want 2 in theory. You know, at least 2. You know, you still got a couple of 2.5 weeks. Yeah, about 2.5 weeks. So plenty of time. Gallagher back on. I can't see that one happening in a million years. Well, that's someone that I want to talk about because that situation is pretty dire at the moment. Are we only signing a winger or could we add some midfielder? Yeah, we could be adding more than that. 3 more seats till the Premier League returns. Absolutely. We don't need yet another 8. Well, like I said, it could be a situation that Spurs go, actually, no, Bergvall's more of an 8. We want a 10. But I could see them moving Bergvall into a 10-esque role and moving someone else into there and competing with Sarr, potentially. When you have Bentancur, Basuma, Gray, then obviously that's a situation with Oliver Skipp. Then Oliver Skipp, you would expect him to move on, which obviously then plays a massive part in our European squad. You know, have I ever tried dumplings? I've not a momos. I don't think I've tried a momos, but I know what dumplings are. He's almost always available for Argentina. Isn't that ironic? To be fair, we had that same thing with Romero, didn't we? And the Romero actually became a guy that wanted to play for Spurs a lot more. You know. Morning, Son, you're right. Bentancur without injuries as our CDM would be the dream. Yeah, I think this season's going to be a big season for Bentancur. I really, really do. Even Bielsa's praised Bentancur as one of the most quality numbers. Yeah, he's, well, Bielsa and all. But no, Bentancur I think is going to be massive this season for us. I really, really do. Really, really do. And, you know, I think a lot of people gave Bentancur stick last season for how he's performing. And if you did, if I'm honest, shame on you. The guy came back from 2 massive injuries early to play for the team when he wasn't even remotely fit. And they always said this season coming would be the season where Bentancur returns to Bentancur, like that top level of Bentancur form that we know. So if I get that, I'm absolutely thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. Who's Bielsa? Who's Bielsa, you say? Bielsa ball. Marcelo Bielsa. He was Leeds manager when they came up. How about that? I'll tell you that. So yeah, we'll see about the 8 situation. Obviously, I think the winger side of things is Spurs' priority for me. I think you can get by for the next couple of weeks for sure with the midfielder options that we have. We have plenty in there. They're all fit and healthy. That's fine. Obviously, Lo Celso moving on is a different situation. The winger situation, even though I think, yeah, you maybe will be all right for the first couple of weeks, you do still need something there. You know, I foresee a situation where Kulusevski does start at right wing. And then once we get a right winger in, maybe him transitioning out of that into something else. But I think right wing, you know, Kulusevski will start the season there. You'll obviously have Sonny out left. And yeah, I think Solanke will start through the centre, if I'm honest. You know, obviously, he'll be training with the first team now and getting to know people and building a rapport with players. Still got plenty of time to the start of the season for us. Obviously, I know the Premier League season starts on Friday. We don't start till Monday. So we've got a long time now to get everyone up to speed, which I think we will. You know, you think of like the Bentancurs, the Romeros, the Destinies, the Mickey van der Vens, all those players probably need a little bit of time to get up to speed, obviously having missed pre-season. You know, I think we'll get in there. Talking about this, it's probably been spoken about. You probably know about this, but the Football Insider saying that Spurs have decided to keep Jed Spence this summer, and defender will be a part of Ange Postecoglou's first team plans this season. I don't think that's shocking. The guy's had a really great preseason. I think he shows some versatility between the both fullback positions. Homegrown, always a thing that you want to talk about. And, I think people were probably sick of us talking about it, but it is a thing. We do have to be aware of the homegrown situation. And Spence helps it. So there's a lot of ticks across the board why Spence staying is a good thing. And, also just to bring it away from all of that, shout out Jed Spence for the effort that he's put in. He's the one that turned it around. Genoa probably right now are thinking, actually, 8.5 million now looks like a decent buy. Because I tell you what, if he played, let's say, continued that form from pre-season through the season for Genoa, someone would have easily bought him for 20 million next summer. So they should have done it. Should have taken the punt. But hey, he's saying that's the important thing. Are we going to sign left back? It's a potential, Angela, but it's not a guaranteed one. Ange would have been disappointed in Basuma, but it would have been dealt behind closed doors. Let them figure it out. It's not for us. I don't know who Richard Rios is from Palmeiras, but, Edison, we know about Edison. So let's talk about midfielders. Let's talk about all-purpose number 8s that Spurs have been linked to. Obviously, the most prominent one is Conor Gallagher. That deal to Atletico Madrid now is in peril. The situation is Atletico need to move someone on before they can get him in. So even though the medical's done, the deal was agreed, everything's ready to rock and roll, it can't happen until someone leaves. Okay. And Chelsea supposedly are asking for Conor Gallagher to come back to England. It's a weird one for me. I don't truly understand it, but that's the situation. So Gallagher was one. Jacob Ramsey, obviously another one, with something, like I said previous to start this video, the Lo Celso deal ties into the Jacob Ramsey move. And, people always go, it'll be like 2025 plus Lo Celso. It'll be 45 and the Lo Celso will be sold for like 15, 20 million. That's normally how that deal works. Now, if he goes to Betis, obviously, then that makes that deal a bit more interesting. Then looking at the rest of those players that we linked to over the past, let's talk 6 months. I guess Archie Gray, you could say, was one of those. Lucas Bergval's another. We've been linked to Edison and Koopmeiners from Atalanta. Trying to think of who else we've been linked to. Obviously, Yusuf Fofana, we've been linked to from Monaco, but I assume he's still going to AC Milan. We were linked to Mats Weaver. Obviously, he's gone to Brighton. So there's a lot of players that Spurs have been linked to, but in reality, none of them stand out as like a one that you sit there and go, yeah, that's the one that's probably most likely to happen, Chelsea's treatment of Gallagher is disgraceful. Welcome to Chelsea. Koopman is close to being done to Juventus. They won't sell Edison as well. Well, won't sell Edison is probably too strong a word. Highly unlikely sell Edison is the right way to say about it, because they won't need the money. So, yeah, I would say you would have to think Edison probably moves on next summer. Hi, how you doing? I'm good, mate. How are you? Andres Pereira gave me a heart attack. Well, won't be going for him. Not set in stone. No, Gallagher's not set in stone. I talked about Locatelli last night, Angelo. Don't see much in it. Jesus. What's your thoughts on bringing Madueke home in Richards Park last season, second game at Chelsea? If I'm honest, I think we can do better. I think Chelsea are going to want some decent money for him. And he doesn't fix any of our European situations for academy-trained players. So it's not like that's the one thing that you sit there and say, yeah, you do that because he's a good winger, but also he helps us here. He doesn't help us here, We are the 30th best football team according to Opta Power Rankings. We have to prove them wrong. I'd love to know who's 29 teams above us. I'd love to know who's 29 teams above us, because that'd be hilarious. I'd love Edison or Koopmeiners. Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it, Jason? Jake Ramsey doesn't excite me and overpriced. Well, that's the situation, isn't it? How much is it truly going to cost? Homegrown, obviously, you always got to throw an English tax. That's the way the world works, isn't it? Fighting over the penalties. Sometimes when you go shopping, you go looking for one thing and come back with another. Oh, we all know that, Polly. Redondo. I don't know who Redondo is, pal. What if we go for the Dutch centre mid that plays for AC Milan? Are you talking about? It's got Reinders. Is it Reinders? Is how you say it? If Locatelli goes from Juve, they won't have midfielders. Well, Rabiot's. That's the one that scares me. Is Rabiot. If it gets towards the end of the window and Spurs haven't signed anyone, you're going to sit there and go, they'll go Rabiot, won't they? And I don't want that. I don't want that move. I do not want Rabiot. I don't want him. But Locatelli is a guy, like I said yesterday, he went with so much hype and promise to Juventus, and I don't think the move's truly been as good as it has. Now, look, Juventus haven't been as good as they've been previous to him signing. They all thought Chiesa was going to be the next big, guy to take them on, and they've had too much turmoil, So, yeah, I think it's one of those maybe went at the wrong time. I was thinking yesterday, Wharton was doing so at Palace. They would part with Czech Toure. He's a good player. I think they want to have Czech Toure and Wharton, don't they? Buzzing for Spence, Andy. What is the chance of us getting Rafinha? There's a chance, yeah. I was talking about Barca's situation. And they've signed Dani Olmo, but they can't register Dani Olmo because of the fact they need to move off of players. Rafinha is the one that, if they were to move off of him, he does have value. There's not a lot of their squad that has value, but he does. So, that could make a lot of sense. If we're not even linked with Madueke, then we aren't interested in a right winger this window. If we're not even linked with no, we're definitely linked with right wingers. Hey, Donny, you're right. Who you don't know who Redondo is? No, mate. Do you think Levy will go for Eze, or do you think City will swoop in and take him before we do? I think City have more concerns in their team than an Eze. Doesn't mean they wouldn't go for an Eze, but I think they have other issues in their team. They need a backup striker for Haaland. Really, that's the guy they want. We definitely need midfielder. I forgot about Rabiot. Yeah, I forgot about Rabiot, and I just thought about him, and I was like, no, I'm not interested in Rabiot. People talk about character concerns at Spurs, like, Basuma's character concern, or I'm not sure about him, or Giovani Lo Celso, but they want Rabiot, and it's like you can't have one comment of like, I'm worried about this player's attitude, and then say something different for Rabiot. Rabiot's whole shtick over his time in football has been he's an issue in the locker room. I'm not saying he is or isn't, but you would take a Rabiot in a heartbeat. I'd honestly, I wouldn't. We can do better. We should do better. It's the cheap option, Rabiot. There's a reason why he's gone on a free. That's all I'm going to say. Rafinha is just Kulusevski. That's a bit too strong. So yeah, a little bit of good stuff in that one. We'll see on the midfielder front because look, Spurs in theory, yes, maybe need a midfielder, but let's be real. The right wing situation is where we should have interest right now. That's the one we should focus on. I've just seen Spurs fans predicting about so 1 minute. I've just seen something. So, Barcelona media seems to reckon that Manchester United might come in for Rafinha. Interesting. But for Spurs, we need a right winger. That's the thing that I would sit there and say that's what we need to focus on. And Rabiot wouldn't pass the ange test, was that, to be fair. Bakayoko PSV is the perfect right wing for us. See, not for his attitude, it isn't, no. Most of the fan base is calling for Bakayoko. As am I, would be quality signing. Got a couple of people that didn't see Bakayoko's comments the other day. Too much Kool-Aid, maybe. Definitely not, mate. Never too much. Right, hot lay, mate. How are we? You right? And is YouTube your full-time job? No. It wouldn't pay the bills. YouTube don't pay me enough yet, mate. We're getting there. We're slowly getting there, but it doesn't pay me enough. I can see Rafinha taking the Saudi money. Well, did you see Vinicius Jr. apparently has an offer of 200 million a year from Saudi? Damn. We should be all over Rafinha throwing Reguilon. Well, that's the thing that's another thing. If we talk about Jacob Ramsey and Lo Celso, Rafinha and Reguilon, you can throw things into those deals that make sense. But we shall see. But anyway, guys, end the video. Hope you enjoyed. Drop a like on the video if you did. Hit me in the comment section below. Your thoughts and feelings about Lo Celso, number 8, Spence, all those things. Let me know your comments and feelings about all of that. And subscribe to the channel for more. And obviously hit the bell notification so you stay up to date. I will speak to you all very, very soon. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your mornings. And I'll see you later on this evening. Take care. Peace.